Hey, my friends, a few weeks ago, the Bay Area Rivian Club held a trail leadership workshop down at Hollister Hills. Fantastic event. Monica and I learned so much. It was led by CJ, who has like a million years of off-roading experience, but mainly in Jeeps. His off-road rigs are Jeeps. His Rivian is, I think, just like a daily driver or that kind of thing. So at one point, he asked me, how do you estimate your off-roading range? Because we've got a lot of experience of taking our Rivian off-road. We did that fantastic run through Carrizo Plain all along the Tembler Ridge Trail. If you haven't seen that video, go check that out. Also, a few weeks ago, we did 250 miles in Dixie Valley out in Nevada. That's one of our longest trips. Like 150 miles of that is off pavement. It was absolutely epic. And I've got like a terabyte of footage, pictures of various times. I still need to put together into a video that will come in due course. So it's a damn good question. How do we estimate our range? How do we figure out if the route is going to work? And then how do we actually execute that plan? So the first step here, in a few weeks from now, is going to be Labor Day weekend. And we're planning to go off-roading out in Death Valley, go to the hot springs, and do close to 100 miles worth of desert trails there, going up the Saline Valley Road. And the first step here, several weeks before that, is to go ahead and dress up the vehicle and get it ready. We get the rooftop tent on. We have our new road shower here. This is going to be cool. Traction boards are on the other side of the rooftop tent, and we've got the awning up on top of the cab. I've got all this off in the vehicle because every off-roady bit you put on your vehicle is going to hurt your range. And also, if you have other things like, forged wheels, your range is going to get better. So how does all that math work out? Link your Rivian to ABRP. It will go ahead and figure out an estimation of what your actual efficiency is, as opposed to using the predetermined guessing of what the vehicle will do. And then we can go ahead and start plotting out the route, plotting out at least the surface street parts of the route, and kind of understand what range we then actually have available for the off-road part, and then do some additional math from there. But let's go ahead and up to the computer and take a look at ABRP. A better route planner. As far as I know, the best route planner. Are there any other competitors out there? Anyway, ABRP is the classic. It's fantastic, and it's actually owned by Rivian, which makes life easy. Although a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is applicable to non-Rivian vehicles, because you can connect many types of vehicles to ABRP, not just Rivians. Now, the Rivians you can connect for free. You don't get like weather and some features, but you do get the live data. You can see here, without all the off-roady bits of the vehicle, with it naked, I've been clocking in 2.6 miles per kilowatt, generally speaking. And this is the live data. You can also go ahead and type in a number if you really want to, but this is the live data. And this is based upon a reference consumption at 65 miles per hour. And so it basically looks at your drives and figures out this number on its own as far as an estimated efficiency. Now, with all the off-roady bits in the truck, this number would gradually go down, but we can also go in here and just reset the consumption data and start over from scratch. Or there's also a feature up here to change configurations. Like if you're towing, or again, with the off-road stuff on, I can kind of have multiple configurations. Unfortunately, this is a feature that requires you to pay money. I'm kind of bummed about this. I know this is ridiculous, considering it's the Rivian's ultimately like $100,000 vehicle, but it just feels painful to have yet another $5 a month from ABRP in addition to what I pay to Electrify, in addition to what I pay to Rivian for their Connect Plus plan. Really, if you're paying for Rivian Connect Plus, you should get ABRP for free. Come on, guys. So I am just going to go ahead and go in here and go down and reset consumption. It's been 2 weeks, and we've been rebuilding the efficiency estimations within ABRP, and we've also plotted out our route here in ABRP, going from San Jose out to the Warm Springs and back in kind of a loop through Buttonwillow and Olancha and out to Bishop, and then probably back home over through Yosemite or something up there and stuff. And we can go ahead and see up here that our efficiency, again, it tracked over the last couple of weeks since we reset consumption, is down to 2.22 from 2.6. That's about a 15% loss, but that is what it is. But also, somewhat more importantly, besides just the reference consumption at 65, is the actual detail that it collects on your efficiency at different speeds. And I wish it would tell you what this data is. It just kind of says how its confidence level is as it's collecting data. But what is the data? I would love to know that. But basically, ABRP needs to know how efficient you are at different speeds, so it can go ahead and estimate, on your route, because it knows the speeds of the freeways and highways and back roads you'll be traveling on, and so it knows how to estimate that efficiency. And so that's why you got to build this data back up. Anyway, so we're back to 2.22, which is down about 15%, as I mentioned. And we're set to leave San Jose at 100% state of charge and arrive at our ultimate destination back in San Jose at a 10% state of charge. And that is our basic minimum safety number that we have is 10%. So let's go ahead and plan it out. All right, so Friday night, we're going to wait until 8 o'clock at night to kind of wait till traffic dies down a bit there on the Friday of Labor Day weekend, and then go blitzing down to Buttonwillow. We'll get a motel there and recharge at the Rivian charger here. We don't need a lot of charge, just 34 minutes to go ahead and get on to Olancha. So what we usually do is we pull into the supercharger there, the fast charger. Monica will actually go to the motel and check in and get our room and blah, 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 and that can take like half an hour or something. So that'll basically be all we need. If we need more, then the next morning I could wake up and bounce out there and plug the truck in, and then take a shower and get ready and stuff, or while we go to Starbucks and get some Starbucks or whatever we want to do, right? Gonna be easy to get 34 minutes worth of charging to then get on to Olancha and arrive there with a 10% state of charge. Now in Olancha, we're gonna charge to 100%. That's gonna take over an hour, probably like an hour and a half or something. Not a big deal because, we're spending the whole day, the whole Saturday, just to go from Buttonwillow to the Warm Springs. It's not a lot of miles ultimately, although a good chunk of it is definitely off-road. But we're going to take the time and get the 100%. But for several reasons. One, it's going to make all the math easier from then forward. Starting with 100%, what is our math to get up to Bishop going through the off-road trail? Also, having extra fuel, having ample electricity when you are off in the desert or off in the mountains in winter, is safety, right? So if we had a breakdown, obviously having the power to run our air conditioner, go ahead and do the Garmin InReach if we have to go ahead and call for help and stuff. Power is safety, so don't just shortchange it and arrive with just enough to some wild and crazy place. Go ahead and have a solid safety buffer. Now, strangely, ABRP actually routes through the off-road trail, through Saline Valley Road. This is shocking to me, honestly. Normally, what I would do is do ABRP to the end of pavement on each end of things, and then see how much power, how much percentage of capacity and how much power we have for how many miles on the trail, and then kind of make a ballpark guesstimate about what we've got available, what buffer do we have to play with. And so we can do that here, but oddly enough, it actually routes. Like normally we'd use some other tool like Google Maps or like literally, a physical map, right? Tom Harrison Maps, shout out to Tom Harrison Maps, Death Valley map, link in the description below. They make fantastic maps. They're like color coded for how difficult the trails are. They have distances for every trail segment. They're fantastic. They have all sorts of maps for kind of the Mojave Desert area. Check them out. So we don't have to do this, but that's how we would normally kind of do that kind of thing. Anyway, so right here we turn off the road, and at that point we will be at an 86% state of charge according to ABRP. And I trust that. Again, ABRP is very accurate. It's kind of interesting. We're only going to go 32 miles in 30 minutes from Olancha, and we're going to burn 14% of our battery. Why? Huge elevation change. We're going way, way, way up. Not a big deal. We're going to give that back in due course. Although if you do look up the elevation of Bishop and Olancha, Bishop is a lot higher elevation. So it's good to kind of keep in mind how the elevation change for your next charger is different from where you are now, to get a feel for how things might work ultimately, how your efficiency might ultimately be. So for the pavement on the other end of things, it says we're gonna get back to the pavement with a 51% state of charge, and we're gonna reach Bishop with 48%. We're only gonna use 3% to go 31 miles. Again, downhill. That's the big difference there. But we can do the math now, right? 86%. Minus 3%, 83% is what we have for this whole off-road stretch. Again, 10% safety buffer. Let's call it 73%. Let's be even more conservative. Let's call it 70%. 70% state of charge to do how many miles? Again, we would normally estimate this with a different tool. but ABRP is just giving it to us. So 52 miles to the Warm Springs, and then 39 miles from there back out to pavement on the north side. Let's call it 100 miles. Again, just to build in safety buffers or whatever. Let's round it up a bit, and let's do a little bit of math here for giggles. So 70% of a 142 kilowatt hour battery pack is basically 100 kilowatt hours. So essentially, we've got 100 kilowatt hours to go 100 miles. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That is, we're going to be doing more like 1.6, 1.8, something like that. 1 is absolutely easy. So I have no concerns at all about having the range to do this route. That being said, in addition, remember, we are camping out for a couple of nights. So you want to do things to not waste power. We may take along a solar panel to go ahead and power our jackery, which we will use to then go ahead and power our induction cooking system and that kind of fun stuff. So, you want to make sure you plan to lose, whatever your number is, but, 1 or 2% per day when you're camping out and not wasting power on things like running the AC all day or that kind of stuff. From Bishop, it's actually a really short little charge. And then it wants us to recharge again over in Groveland. And then we are back home to San Jose, easy peasy. Although, honestly, we might have fun coming up through Sonora Pass here. Just recharge at the Rivian charger here in Lee Vining. Labor Day weekend on the Monday when we're heading home, right? This may be an absolute zoo trying to go through the park and get out of the park. So maybe going around will be a better bet. But on the whole, this route looks totally doable. So what are we going to do to actually execute this route? Basically, for the first leg, I'll set the destination to the Rivian charger here. It says we'll have 18% when we arrive. I will drive faster than it thinks and burn that down to like 10% reserve. So I'll drive speed to remaining SOC. You can always do that. Efficiency is so controlled by speed, it's ridiculous. And so if you just set your destination for where you're going and then manage your speed based upon what your safety buffer is that you're comfortable with, it's easy peasy. You could go slower and really stretch it out. You can go faster and save some time and burn some more power. It's easy peasy. Anyway, we'll get up to Atlantia and recharge to 100%. Now from here, I will set the destination in the nav to just go to the Warm Springs, but as Rivian owners know, Rivian recently switched from, I believe, Mapbox routing mapping data over to Google. And Google has some funny problems. If I do Google Maps from Olancha to the Warm Springs, it insists on going around through the Eureka Dunes and Steel Pass and down the north side there, which is quite an amazing off-road trail. We did it once with our Pathfinder a million years ago. That is not the route we're planning to do. And if you grab it and try to drag it around to the south side, it just refuses. It goes around through Nevada. It really does not want to touch Saline Valley Road. So this may be kind of amusing. We will set the vehicle to go to the Warm Springs and then coming out of there, to Bishop, to the Bishop Charger. And basically, there's probably some junction. There's some Y, like, maybe it's the Hunter Mountain Y right here, between Saline Valley Road and Hunter Mountain Road. Something is not routing properly. But we'll set it to the destination and drive the route we know we are going to go. And at some point, the navigation will flip over and go, aha! I see a clear path to this destination now. And now, finally, I can go ahead and tell you what I think, what the vehicle thinks dynamically, real time, what your range estimation will be on your arrival. And at that moment, you can say, I have what I expect, or I don't have what I expect. I need to adjust accordingly. And so, again, we'll be using a physical map. We'll use our phones with different mapping systems and stuff. We'll use the vehicle. We'll use all these things together. And essentially, as soon as possible, we will get the vehicle to estimate the range on arrival, because that's going to be the most dynamic, real-time, believable data. Nonetheless, I have no doubt that we have the range to get there. In fact, let me show you here. Here's the junction here for Saline Valley Road on the south side here. And if you just click on this, so there you go. Restart of the pavement in 84 miles and all the way to Big Pine in 100. I guess Bishop instead of Big Pine instead of Bishop. But anyway, 84 miles. So sometimes just using Google Street View can find you some answers for the questions you're looking for. Anyway, that is our route. If you want to see how it turns out, you know, please like, please subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. We actually did an amazing trip to Dixie Valley where we did a full, must have been 150 miles worth of off-roading, pulling into the final charger in Battle Mountain with just 10% state of charge and a tailwind. I'm still working on that video. I haven't had a chance to publish it. Stay tuned if you want to hear about that trip. If you want to hear about this trip, I'll get to it in due course. It's just me, folks. It's just me editing the data and all that kind of good stuff. So doing the best I can. Thanks for watching. Take care.